And welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion. This is episode 38, which I think I titled Think of the Children or something like that. But
Think of the children!
No. Yeah, that was it. That was it, yeah. So before we get started, let me remind you that we are covered by the BitCot No Government License, which allows for the reuse, modification, and distribution of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bitcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. Yeah, so not a full crew tonight. Hopefully Mark doesn't show up in his truck. Drums out.
What's up, guys? I'm off-roading this time. With the AC on full blast on the microphone.
Mark's gonna show up one time. He's gonna have
tree
like
branches hitting the windshield as he's driving down.
Right. We love you, Mark.
He's gonna have gravel in the back.
What's up, guys?
Or just out of nowhere, I fucking hate that, and it's Mark, and he's driving down a gravel road.
I think we should, at least when he's driving, he has his clothes on.
This is true. There are upsides, silver linings, man.
There's definitely silver linings. There may have been some nip slips and other slips in the past.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And none of them were me, so you guys wouldn't be interested, okay?
None of them were me either. I've been good.
Sorry, ladies. So, yeah, we got a lot of fun tonight.
I feel like it's been a while since I've been on. Like, I missed an episode or two.
You missed one, I think, right?
This one?
Yeah, I think you were off last week, or last episode, and then the week before that was a short week.
Right.
So, yeah, it's been like 3 weeks since you've been on.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Franken finger's almost all healed up.
Thank God.
Goodness.
I just have a little
pictures.
It's just a little scar patch, for keeping the scar supple.
Did you see those pictures, Dan?
Yeah, dude. They were fucking
that's
bad.
right. You're in the Telegram chat. You saw them.
But look, I can't straighten it all the way anymore. You see that? It's like sticking down.
Oh, that means
below
you
my
can't
other
flip
fingers.
anybody off all the way.
Oh no, I can still manage that mostly.
Of course you can.
Mostly. I'll find a way.
Life.
Find a way. I was just thinking that.
Get out of my head.
Classic
There you
gold
go.
blue.
There's a picture of Derica's finger.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, Andrew, you are such a
Fucking
fucking
brutal.
pussy.
And that was there you go. There's a better one. If you look close, if you look really close, you can see the bone. That's a beautiful shot.
That
Ugh.
one actually bothers me way less.
That one.
Exactly. It's the post-burn one that just.
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
It's the other way around for me.
That second one, they had the tourniquet on because I couldn't get a picture of it before they put the tourniquet on because it was filling up with blood too quickly.
Oh.
Because it was just like pumping out of there. So
Yeah.
they had to put the tourniquet on it for me to even get a picture of it. So, yeah, it was
Fucking
gnarly.
crazy, dude.
Oh, it was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting.
Watch out for those
But
mandolin slicers.
she did leave a really nice
Amazon review
on Amazon review, including the picture of her finger.
Go ahead and read it out loud, Jason.
All right. Okay. Okay. So it's sharp! Exclamation point! The first time I used this slicer, I was really impressed by how quickly my vegetable prep went. On my second use, I was really impressed with the new urgent care in town and how quickly they got with my knuckle cauterized. Good people, fast service, just really great addition to our little town. Without this product, I might ever have known. Pro, sharp. Cuts a clean line through carrots and human flesh alike. Seriously, the tetanus booster hurt worse than the initial cut.
What a fucking wise ass, man.
Cons. The guard has somewhat thick old plastic teeth, making it incapable of properly gripping any small circumference vegetable. The product being sliced slips so quickly across the board that pieces can go flying. I'm still not sure who ended up with my knuckle in their soup tonight. Just don't tell my family. My finger bone is now exposed until my knuckle scars. Recommended, yes. Recommended accessory, those chainmail gloves divers use so they don't let sharks gnaw on them.
Knuckle soup.
And I went back and
minestrone soup.
No, it was
so it totally blended in.
It was pasta fagioli with small shells.
Pasta fagioli, small shells. Yes.
Yeah. I went back and added onto that review. I said that I subtracted 1 star for every knuckle that it took from me, and that's why I got 4 stars instead of 5.
Oh, fucking anarchist.
I do 2 thumbs way up, but I seem to be missing one. So.
Oh, it's like, you're gonna have a lot of fun showing off that scar. Look at my scar. Look closely.
Look at it.
Oh.
Yeah. Fun stuff. But I mean, it's not a bad product. I was just fucking stupid.
It's a better product than government.
It sure is fucking slice.
Yes, it can. I was in a hurry, and also the celery I was slicing wasn't terribly fresh, so it broke really easily, which dumped my hand down on the blade while I was slicing it, and that's how I lost my knuckle. And I was having 3 conversations with 3 different kids at the same time. I was trying to slice vegetables, so that's how that happened. Yeah.
That's what it was. It was the patriarchy.
It was definitely user error. It wasn't a problem with the product.
It was the patriarchy. Fuck.
It was the patriarchy. It was. But it was a net loss for the patriarchy because since that happened to me, I had the teenage boys cooking breakfast and dinner and lunch for the rest of the fucking summer.
Oh,
they got to do all of my housework.
I was thinking no hand jobs for the hubs.
No, I got 2 hands.
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
No awkward silence.
No.
We're all just gonna giggle about the fact that you mutilated yourself.
That what? Somebody was scratching at something and I didn't hear that.
So we're all just going to sit here and giggle awkwardly about the fact that you mutilated yourself.
Yeah.
You got a severe injury.
That's all right. I fucking laughed about it. You know.
Hey, I stabbed myself in the hand one time trying to open the fucking window because I was trying to pry the latch open with a knife.
Yeah.
And the shit's like slipped.
Dude, okay, no shit, legit. There was an article floating around here in California about 5-6 months ago. It might not even been that long ago. That ER doctors were complaining about the number of people that had gone to the hospital, stabbing themselves in the hand, trying to cut open avocados.
Oh my god!
Did they not realize that the center of the thing's like hard and you can't?
Oh my god!
How?
Yeah.
You use a paring knife and you literally just follow the. How? How do you?
Well, okay, because look, the way that people who are experienced at cutting avocados do it is you hold it in your hand and you have the chef's knife and you just, stick it in there and then move the avocado around on the knife.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people who aren't experienced have seen this and tried to do it themselves, and instead of hitting the avocado with the knife, I mean, that's a pretty big fucking target. I don't know how you miss it. But I guess some people do, and I'm sure they're slicing into like the pad of their thumb and shit like that instead. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, avocado hand is sending people to the ER because they don't know how to cut their fruit.
Avocado hand.
That sounds like
there is also
it's the new texting thumb.
No, there is also a new
It's like a Mexican sex move.
surge. There's also a post-brunch surge of avocado-related injuries on Saturdays.
Post brunch.
Post-brunch injuries.
Oh my god.
What the fuck is going on here, man?
It's California.
Brunch
Darwin
post-brunch
is
avocado
rolling
hands.
over. Darwin is rolling over.
Jeez. Avocados are not difficult to cut. The skin isn't tough. The meat isn't tough. The only thing that's
Keep
tough
your
is
hands
the
away
pit.
from the knife.
Yeah, you could put it against the blade and just press a little bit. You don't even have to like chop. You could just like, you know, press the avocado onto the blade. Be really careful about it, and you could accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. It's not that fucking hard to cut a goddamn avocado.
You're literally pushing the blade through soft into like it's got a built-in knife guard.
Yes.
Center. Well,
exactly.
How do you fuck that up?
Yeah, it's not like you can go all the way through and into the palm of your hand.
Well, what I do is I'll put my hand like this, like an arch, and then put the knife down and like slice it. You know what I mean? Like with the knife.
You're a smart guy, Dan. You're a smart guy.
The way I was taught is you hold it in the palm of your hand, and you bring the knife in.
You could do that too,
bring the knife in until it hits the nut, and then you spin the avocado.
Exactly.
And it cuts around the nut, and then you twist it, and it pops off.
Right. Yep. But then you use the knife to get the pit out. You just knock it a little bit with the knife and twist, and that takes the pit out.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not that difficult.
One doctor suggesting safety labels to be placed on avocados.
Oh, for
all right, here's my proposition. How about we just remove the safety labels off of every fucking thing
and let Darwin work it out? Yeah,
exactly.
I'm all for
that. Problem should sort itself out.
I am all for that.
Well, that's the problem. I just feel there's too much of a safety net.
There is. And you know what? Because of this safety net, we now have to put up with shit like Trump derangement syndrome.
Well, I said
I'm
earlier,
not a fan of Trump. We all know none of us here are fans of Trump. But the way that liberals have overreacted to this guy is just it's the train wreck that I can't tear my eyes away from.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, I made a post earlier about, I was like, if you really believe that, like, the whole Russian collusion narrative that was sold to us by the intelligence agencies is real, I'm like, you're probably one of those people that think, like, you know, there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and that the fucking World Trade Center was brought down by fucking terrorists operating from a cave in Afghanistan. And
I don't know.
The list goes on and on.
Sir, but my government would not lie to me.
The government is my government is fucking of the people, by the people, for the people. It is us. The government is us, and we are the government. So what you're saying just doesn't make any sense. I refuse to believe it.
The fact that you could say that with a straight face is very impressive.
Thanks.
Deadpan.
I've been working on it.
Well, hey, if we replace
parents get really good at this shit.
Yeah.
God bless you. God bless America.
If we replace like the cast of Saturday Night Live with us, it'd actually be funny again.
It hasn't been funny in a long time.
All right. Speaking of fun, let's jump into this first article because
sure, let's do it.
It's we're already laughing. So.
As always.
Oh, this is a gem. This is an absolute beautiful gem from the ACLU. Yeah. A pro-liberty case for gun restrictions.
From the American Civil Liberties Union. Like, people know. Like, let me ask you this. Do you guys think the people who work at the ACLU even know what ACLU stands for?
The American are they aware? Communist Liberation Union?
The American Cocksuckers League United?
Any cuckolds listening to us?
Oh,
The American
Cuck Life Union.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. The American Cuckoldry fucking Liberation Unit.
Jesus.
Oh, that reminds me of the time when CNN posted an article where they said that it was good for relationships if you let other dudes fuck your wife, and I was like, oh, it's great. They're fucking promoting cuckoldry now.
Yeah.
Well, we got TED Talk.
Yeah, don't have a backbone.
We got TED Talk promoting freaking pedophilia now too.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's fucking wonderful.
The cuckold thing, that definitely ain't my cup of tea. But the pedophilia thing really, truly pissed me off.
Yeah, that fucking makes me angry.
I got something for that. Yeah. I seen people fucking making fucking. If you go on Twitter and look up Michael Ian Black, real last name is Schwartz, but he changed it. He said today something about he was trying to get in touch with his inner child molester, and I was like, oh great. So I fucking retweeted it and fucking was like, this fucking scumbag. And he's always talking about taking away people's fucking he was talking about doing away with the Second Amendment. And I'm like, this motherfucker, dude, like what's wrong with people?
Well, people who are, you know, sexually turned on by victimizing others don't want people to be able to defend themselves clearly.
It's fucking disgusting.
All right, but back to the article.
Yeah. I'm only going to read a couple paragraphs from it. But, okay. In recent months, the nation has been debating gun control issues with renewed intensity. One of the principal arguments that firearm advocates advance against restrictions on guns is freedom. Americans ought to be free to own guns and free to defend ourselves, and that broad ownership of guns by citizens is a check against the possibility of oppression by our own government. Yeah, I mean that's pretty standard.
Yep.
Let's see. While gun regulations must be unbiased and subject to due process protections, the Constitution does permit limits on firearms sales and ownership.
Yeah. You mean that part where it says shall not be infringed?
So shall not be infringed, that means pass a bunch of laws.
That means infringe the fuck out of it, you guys.
Hold on. Wait. Overall, the ACLU does not generally engage in either side of the gun control issue, but we do care about freedom, and I have noticed a growing trend. The wide availability of guns and their misuse leading to restrictions on Americans' freedoms.
You know who misuses guns more than anybody else? The government.
Criminals. Yeah. Advocates for expansive gun rights. Yeah. And advocates for expansive gun rights who are serious in their concern over expanded government powers might consider how this is the case. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. All right. Mass shootings create a pervasive sense of insecurity and anxiety that politicians and policymakers will inevitably seek to address. Throughout history, people who live in warlike times and places have built walls, while residents of peaceful kingdoms have tended to live without them. When particular security threats arise, real or perceived, societies respond through policy, behavior, and architecture. Like calluses responding to friction, government powers build up where threats are perceived. If Americans continue to increasingly think of each of their fellow citizens, including children, as a potential mortal threat at every public gathering, this fear will inevitably lead to more and more government reach into American life.
Then how about you stop fucking spreading lies that mass shootings are the worst they've ever been, because they're fucking not.
Okay, hold on. This intrusions already in play or proposed as a result of mass shootings include increased physical searches, increased ever-expanding checkpoints, bag searches, magnetometers, body scanners, pat-downs, and more.
I wonder why they're fucking sensationalizing mass shootings. Yeah. Could it be so they can seize all these extra powers.
Yeah, that's usually the fucking thing. It's the Hegelian dialectic of fucking thesis, antithesis, synthesis, or problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But
call it the airportization of American life. To pick one telling example, after the Parkland shooting, students at Majority Stoneman Douglas High School were barred from carrying backpacks, except those that are clear and permit the contents to be seen. The decision by the school cost students the fundamental personal privacy of being able to carry books, medicines, and other intimate items without exposing it to public view.
Right.
Ooh.
Right. More surveillance
for people to be disarmed.
Yeah, more surveillance. We have seen at least 2 school districts in the United States, in Arkansas and in the state of New York, vote to adopt comprehensive surveillance systems that include blanket video surveillance, tracking, facial recognition, and the ability of law enforcement to tap into the system. The pressure to install such system inside our schools and out will only increase if mass shootings continue to happen regularly. Growth in database watch list investigation of background checks that set the government rummaging around in our personal lives. More armed police and guards at more and more civilian gatherings, potentially down to every little league game and church picnic. Authorities whose very presence will change the character of American life and who are also likely to assert their power in numerous ways, make everything into law enforcement issue, and generally bring the government into a lot of situations in American life where government had not traditionally meddled. Security experts know that if you harden some targets, attackers will just go for softer ones.
So wait, their solution...
More police shootings. There are a lot of problems behind our nation's tragically high rate of unnecessary police shootings, including racism, poor training, and the militarization of our police. But it is also undoubtedly the case that the widespread availability of guns makes police more jumpier than they would otherwise be and quicker to shoot.
Bullshit. Guns are nowhere near as pervasive as they used to be. I shit you not. America, every fucking household used to have a gun in it. Literally. Every fucking household had at least one gun in it. Every single fucking one. And then like mid 20th century, fucking people started becoming pussies about guns for some reason. And now
it was
now like
a lot
a
of
third
saturation through the media.
Right. And now like a third to a half of American households don't fucking have guns in them. Mm-hmm. So this is
article.
Let me read this last paragraph. I'm gonna skip down a few paragraphs and read this last one, and then we can jump into it. It says, quote, as we as a society consider the issue of gun violence, these implications for American freedom also need to become part of the conversation. In particular, those who support expansive gun rights as a protection against excessive government power should strongly consider how much government intrusion and expanded power they're willing to trade for those rights.
So essentially, because we're worried about everybody, we're worried about all our other rights, let's go ahead and give up the one and only one that actually protects all of those rights.
Yes.
Yeah, the ACLU, they may not know it, but they're wearing an asshole where their mouth should be. Like, they're completely backwards and inside out on this issue.
There's a whole lot to unpack with this whole article in terms of, let's see here,
they've got their facts wrong to begin with, so their premise is based on faulty shit anyways.
Like Andrew was saying, it's like the foundation of your fucking personal safety and security is your fucking ability to arm yourself against potential threats, right?
Well, yeah.
Right.
So, they're talking about, disarm yourself because the cops are scared, and we want to do away with violence. That's really worked in fucking
because the cops who are not obligated to
places
protect
like London
you.
and well, not only that, but it's like even if they were obligated to protect you, you got to wait on them to fucking respond. Well, by that time, something bad could have fucking happened, or your family members, like your wife and your kids, could be fucking dead. It's
right.
It's not a chance I'd be willing to take.
Average response time here in my part of California, average response time of 911 is 17 minutes.
That's ridiculous.
A hell of a lot of time to be dead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I can shoot my intruder, make a pot of coffee, and have a cup of coffee halfway down my throat before the police get here.
Yeah. Have like a cup of coffee and a couple smokes with a dead body fucking in a pool of its own blood on your living room floor.
Like you already have the police report filled out and you got your heels kicked up on the dead body.
Right.
But like,
here you go, officer.
Coffee.
Yeah. The whole premise of this article, like the whole point that they're making, is that our privacy is more important than our ability to protect ourselves. Like it's like there's a freedom quota, there's a liberty quota that you can only have so much freedom.
It's the zero-sum fallacy as applied to rights.
Yeah, they're taking X, Y, and Z. They're limiting X, Y, and Z. So you should have to give up A.
Yeah.
So that
guess what?
And to me, what I heard through the whole thing was because we don't feel like we can stand firm on these other rights, you have to stop standing firm on this one too.
Yes.
No, they're all rights. Fuck the government in every single one of those instances.
The same ACLU, right? The same ACLU that in this article complained about mass surveillance also supports things like the Patriot Act and the NDAA as a means of quote, making us safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, is this some new mental disorder? Like, you know how there's like Munchausen by proxy? Is this like Stockholm by proxy? Like they're pretending.
I'll tell you exactly what it is, dude. It's Orwellian doublespeak.
It is absolutely Orwellian doublespeak.
Yeah.
And that last paragraph, they make the argument that I'm about to make, right? They say right there that American freedoms need to be part of the conversation, and particularly those who support expansive gun rights as a protection against excessive government power should strongly consider how much government intrusion and expanded power they're willing to trade for those rights. Absolutely, I agree completely. Yeah. But I don't read that the same way that they wrote it.
No,
they wrote that in.
So check it out. Just for people that don't know what Orwellian doublespeak is language that deliberately obscures, disguises, distorts, or reverses the meaning of words. Doublespeak may take the form of euphemisms in which case it is primarily meant to make the truth sound more palatable.
Super double plus good.
Yep.
Yeah, like in the abortion debate, it's just a clump of cells. It's not a baby. Like this shit is fucking doublespeak too. None of that matters if it's a human life.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what you fucking call it.
Leftists fucking engage in tons of fucking,
oh my god, constantly.
Doublespeak.
Fucking constantly. That's all they know how to do, and they think they sound intelligent.
Yep. Land of the free, home of the brave.
They're not even doing it deliberately.
Doublespeak.
They're not even doing it deliberately. They're just they're fucking regurgitating.
Well, yeah, that's their programming.
Programmed to say,
Oh yeah, I've seen that exact thing. I just the other day got into an argument with a Brit, which of course always my favorite people. But I just got into an argument with this British guy where he was trying to advocate for universal health care, and he kept talking about how that's capitalism. That's capitalism.
What?
Or socialized healthcare. And I'm like, no, that's opposite of what that is as you possibly get. Just harping on it. No, because then it drives costs down. No, the cost.
No, I don't think
you're a freaking idiot.
When you monopolize an industry. Yeah,
that's
when you monopolize an industry and there's no competition, how the fuck is that going to drive costs down?
That's the opposite of capitalism.
Exactly, dude.
More government is never the answer to issues created because of government.
Yeah.
I resorted to just sending him the link to the Mises Institute free library in response to every single comment he made from there on out for like 15 minutes.
Right.
read a fucking.
It'd be like Mises Institute. Isn't that racist? Didn't Ron Paul have racist newsletters or something? Like, they always go to that. Don't you guys hate the fucking poors? Think about the children.
Right?
I'll make
Think
it
about the
for
children. Oh my god!
You guys just want to euthanize all the elderly? No, that's actually what you guys want to do with your death panels and your fucking regulated health care.
Yeah. This is my answer to thinking about the children, right?
Yeah.
Think about the children. Think about the children. I was, so I made them a gun that children can use.
Right.
That's what SBRs and collapsible stocks are for. Come on.
Actually, that's not true. Children are much better suited to crew service weapons like howitzers, mortars.
Yes.
But dude, think about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they argue
anything that's like stabilized
health.
that they don't have to use their own body to stabilize. So
yeah, exactly. That's really what we should be giving the children.
I mean, when you think about it, it's one of those things where they want socialized healthcare and they don't realize that it's like on a priority basis. Like, whoever deserves it the most gets it, because there's usually not enough beds.
Not deserves. Whoever's most useful to society as
not even that
predetermined.
Yeah.
Not even that. And socialized healthcare, it's first come first serve.
Yep.
Right. There are hundreds of articles about people dying in the waiting room, people dying in the ambulances in the parking lot.
Oh yeah,
women delivering babies in the waiting rooms.
Sounds like fun.
Because they can't get into the hospital because it's not their turn yet.
And their husband probably can't be there because he's standing in a bread line.
Because there's also a lot of articles that like anybody who smokes is being denied procedures. Anybody who's 20 pounds or more overweight is being denied procedures. So anybody who's not seen as the perfect like contributor to society is getting denied fucking care.
Are you suggesting that socialism is connected to eugenics?
No.
Actually,
what in the Hitler are you talking about?
Yeah. Wow, nothing could be fewer from the truth.
God, you just.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Andrew.
Yeah,
I did not see.
I did not see that coming. Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's circle this back to the article. And exactly, it's a related issue, right? These people they're collectivizing freedom, like it's my responsibility.
Like society has some right to be free from anxiety. No, fuck you. That's not how rights work.
It's somehow my fault as a gun owner, that the government is spying on them.
Yeah.
Or the government's spying on me too. The government is recording this broadcast.
Or it's my fault that somebody, that other people out there have this irrational fear of inanimate objects.
Yeah.
It's not my fucking fault.
No,
I'm not giving up my rights because of it.
It finally clicked. You know what this is? This is the same kind of thing that an abused spouse does. Right?
Yeah.
No. This is on me. I did this to myself. That's why they're hurting me.
They're gaslighting America. They're fucking gaslighting America. That's what it is. Yep.
All right. So not to go on to another topic, because I wanted to cover this, and not from like a conspiratorial aspect, but I'm just saying.
No,
I don't even want to go into that territory on this topic, because I could get lost on that shit for like hours on how there's drills going on at the same time that these shootings take place, which is just too coincidental. But
and like the eerie regularity of these fucking mass shooting events, like like there's a big one every 18 months or so.
Yeah. So let's say that they're completely fucking organic and there's nothing to them. There's no involvement by the government to try and push an agenda with these, events or anything. So,
as likely as that is. Okay. We'll presume.
Exactly. So let's presume that they're completely organic, right? They do still utilize them for the same fucking purpose. You know what I mean? It's like they never let a good crisis
go.
Yeah, Rahm Emanuel never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
Feinstein herself admitted after Newtown, right? The quote massacre after the Newtown shooting, that she had an assault weapons ban sitting in her desk. Like, it was written several years ago, and she was just waiting for an event so that she could sign it and turn it in.
You know what's sick is, like, given that these are organic events, what do you think? Think about the moment when these politicians get the call that this happened.
Yeah.
Think about that
what new law
fucking
can we
moment.
make?
Do you see them like in shock, hand on their heart with tears in their eyes?
Nope.
No. You see them
grinning
from ear to ear.
Yep.
Finally.
They are in front of the camera within minutes.
Yep.
It's you know what it is? And that's another reason why Hunger Games, with as much as I hate to admit that I actually like it better than Battle Royale, the original.
I like Hunger Games too. My daughter got me into it.
Yeah, the end of Hunger Games, the last one, where the rebels drop the bombs on their own people that they're trying to supposedly liberate to blow them up from a stolen Capitol aircraft.
Right.
So that it looks like President Snow did it. So that everybody then turns against him. Yeah, they false flag it. And immediately, all of the people who supposedly lost, all these people they cared about so much, are immediately going on these cameras, immediately talking to these people, immediately going, "Look at how horrible this guy is! Look at what happened." Let no good thing go to waste. And even the second one, when she's being used, or is that it might be the third one, when she's being used as that propaganda piece.
Yeah.
Same thing. Don't let any of the horrible tragedies the Capitol's doing go to waste.
Right.
Exploit.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how propaganda works, man.
I mean, if you like declassified in, I think it was 96 or something like that, but Operation Northwoods under JFK, right? Yep. The Joint Chiefs came up with a plan.
LLM
to shoot down a civilian airliner and blame it on Cuba as a way of getting support for them in the Cold War.
Yep.
Right? JFK, denied it. He said no, you couldn't do that. But Operation Northwoods, like, I mean,
and that was a proposed plan.
That was a proposed plan, right?
Yeah, and then they have things like Operation Gladio,
USS Liberty attack.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the Bay of Pigs.
Well, and don't even just look at America. Look at the UK. Look at the Lusitania. Oh, it was the Germans just attacked this civilian ship that was not a legitimate military target, and then years and years later, we finally get a dive team down there, and lo and behold, it's loaded with weapons and ammunition.
Yep. And Germany warned it, don't send military ships because their U-boats will sink it, and they were fucking. I think they even said in a newspaper that like whoever boards the Lusitania was like boarding at their own risk.
Yeah,
or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was in New York. There was a newspaper article that a guy who was actually arrested for being a German sympathizer ultimately put out there, but where he said, "Hey, don't get on the Lusitania. It's going to be sunk because you're being lied to. It's actually going to be transporting weapons, which makes it a target. Don't do this. Don't be stupid."
Yep.
And they
used it as bait. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Because people are expendable. People are totally expendable in the eyes of the government as long as it furthers
of any government. You're right. It's not just the U.S. government. I mean, the USSR did all of it. Like every government on the planet is documented to just pretty casually throw away the lives of its citizens to maintain power.
Yeah. Well, let me read this one Stalin quote really quick. I got it, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
These are always good.
It's fucking. It's so spot on. Where is it?
Oh man!
Oh, there we go. There we go. The easiest way to gain control of a population is to carry out acts of terror. The public will clamor for such laws if their personal security is threatened.
Yep. And they don't know. They don't have the wherewithal or the means to find out who threatened.
And even if they did, they'd be like, "You're a conspiracy theorist."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. They'd be like, "There's no way the government would ever do that to us to carry out, to get what they want in the end."
Yeah. All they have to do to consolidate power is
attacked by troops on a radio station to to act as a pretext to his invasion or anything.
Literally, all they have to do to seize even more power for themselves is carry out something violent and control the narrative about who did it. That's all they have to do.
Yep.
Because they've also presented themselves as the only defense option for the people that won't get the people thrown in jail by them. So, you know.
You need us.
And then they'll pass laws taking your freedom in the name of protecting you.
Well, you can't be trusted with your own freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like one of those things. I think they said it in 1984. We need to remind them of what chaos it'll be without us, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, V for Vendetta. We need
I think that's what it was.
It's like the abusive spouse. Nobody else would put up with you. Like, nobody else would. Like, who else would treat you as well as I have? Who else would put up with it? You know, all your shit.
Well, yeah, you got to remember. You got to remember that the government of any level, local, state, federal, world, other countries, whatever. No government can give you freedom. No government can give you something that is not bestowed in you naturally. So the only power the government has is to crack down and oppress people. Right? They pass laws and they punish people for breaking the edicts under the name of public safety or the public will or whatever.
Right. And then go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and then they have to create circumstances to justify their existence.
Yeah.
Right? It's well known. It's well known. Like the government supported Al Qaeda, or the Taliban in the 1980s to fight off Russia. Right. It's also known that the same U.S. government used Al Qaeda in Egypt and Libya to out Gaddafi and Mubarak.
And tried to do the same in Syria.
That was the basis of ISIS was the Al Qaeda fighters that had come over from Libya and Egypt. That the U.S. government had funded and paid and trained and all that other stuff.
And armed and everything.
And like to make it even easier for people who still don't really care about all the rest of that. The very word government, the act of governing, of ruling others, government cannot protect freedoms or provide freedom. It is a performative fucking contradiction with the very word government.
Yeah. It's
that simple.
Yeah, the Latin breakdown of the word government translates into control of the minds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, because self-government is control of your own mind and controlling your own actions. You know what I mean? That's why I always say govern thyself. But, and like, you know what I mean? Even like from a spiritual aspect, if you want to get into that realm of it, that's like the whole basis for spirituality is, self-mastery and fucking self-governance. And that's like, essentially, that's anarchism. You know what I mean? And people always think, oh my God, it's evil. You guys don't want government because you want to be able to be degenerates. Like, no.
Right. The word govern literally means control. That's the opposite of freedom.
If you're a moral and decent person, you don't need a fucking governing structure for yourself.
No. And if you're not a moral and decent person, we don't need to give you a legitimizing job in government.
Well, I mean, and even if you're not a moral and decent person in a free society, you still have those checks of everyone else and arguably more checks from everyone else now to stop you from being a piece of shit.
Right.
Well, absolutely, because actions have consequences in an actual free society.
Yeah, right? Because your victims haven't been disarmed and frightened into calling a third party for
But you have things like voluntary disassociation and community action, and you have the ability to
and the basic, come on my property to hurt me or my family and I'll fucking kill you and you won't be a problem to society anymore.
Well, not only that, but it's like when those threats are like are viable fucking threats, like when you say that you can back those things up and the cops aren't going to fucking arrest you for actually defending yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
People aren't afraid of being thrown in jail for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. And nobody ever seems to get that. And I'm constantly trying to
look at the UK though. Like we talked about that story about how those people like they fucking had like flowers and shit for the dude that broke into the guy's house.
Yep.
Yeah, and like a candlelight vigil and shit like that.
Yeah. Because the guy defended himself against the fucking intruder, and he was looked at as the bad guy. It's like in a fucking free society, that shit would not be happening.
No.
Well, because in order for government's got to encourage that, and that's exactly what this article is essentially doing. Is saying no, you need to have a victim mentality. This is ultimate victim mentality. We have to bow before our all-powerful protectors and say, please, sir, don't like shoot me and my dog and my family. And as long as you make a really good promise this time, you're not going to do it, then I'll give you my guns.
Right.
Yep. But guns are bad, you guys. Like, don't go to Germany where they don't have any guns because you'll get caught in a mass stabbing on a bus. 14 people hurt.
It seems to be that, like, if you don't have a backbone and you're fucking compliant and you're a conformist, you're a good citizen.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, you're a fucking threat to society if you fucking, you actually, like...
Yeah,
like,
I'm a threat to society
like,
just because I ask nothing from you. Like, really? Like, I'll take care of myself. Just leave me the fuck alone. That makes me a threat.
Andrew and I have had this conversation before, and it's there's this meme floating around that I've posted a few times, and it says that a non-violent man is not a good man.
Yeah,
a violent man that has that under voluntarily control is a good man.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I've come to that realization. Like, well, I don't know. It was like not like super long time ago, but like when I like really like came into my own as a man, it was like kind of one of those things that it was like you really kind of have to get rooted in your like primal base self because it's important. You know what I mean? Like society tries to like cut us off from that, and like
you have to,
that whole like
you have to be able to control yourself. You have to be able to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, but you also have to be able to know how to flip that switch. Yeah, but you also have to know how to flip that switch and be like an absolute fucking maniac, like if you need to be.
And I feel like the people who have the least amount of access to who they actually are, the people who have the least amount of honesty about their own impulses, the people who have like the least ability to recognize the parts of them that that they need to control. I think to me, those are the people who end up as these fucking screaming, whining, fucking naked, shitting in the street liberals.
Oh yeah.
That fucking.
It manifests itself somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's like you can't like cut yourself off
because
from that
because they're moralists. Like they're totally fucking anchorless, and they just get tossed around on the waves of their fucking emotions because they have no anchoring or grounding in this reality of who we are as human beings.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. That's like when they call it like toxic masculinity. There's a fucking reason why they call it that. Yeah, because it's like they don't want you to be that way.
Right.
Well, no, and that's the thing. And I mean, that's one of those things that I speak a ridiculous amount on.
It's toxic the way that bleach is toxic to mold.
Right. Exactly.
Well, all right, toxic masculinity. I got toxic masculinity right here. Article from the Daily Caller. I only know this because I sent that article to somebody earlier. Woman decides to become a man. Now she's accused of mansplaining and male heterosexual privilege.
I just saved an
I saw that.
today.
I saw that.
Something very much like that. Not exactly the
from,
same one.
But the Daily Caller.
Yeah.
I have one, I think, from like the Washington Post or something like that, or like the New York Times or something. I've got one saved that I'm gonna get back to and read later about. I think probably the same thing.
I was an outspoken radical feminist before transgender.
Yeah. Same guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's super ironic. Oh, gee,
that patriarchy ain't
might not exist. Oh my god.
It's fucking amazing. Only in this reality, dude.
Yep.
This timeline just gets more ridiculous by the day.
I know.
I absolutely love it when the left uses So it is
yeah, dude,
my favorite thing in the world to watch.
Did you see the fucking thing about it was like TERFs got in a fucking war with trannies over some shit at a fucking like UK Pride Parade or something like?
Yeah,
there's
like
all fucking fist fighting each other. Yeah, dude. I was like, yes.
There's also
I'd be like throwing like switchblades into the crowd and like bricks and shit.
Yeah,
like,
I'd turn into fucking Jerry Springer, man. I'd be like, oh god, here's a knife. Do something with the knife. Oh god.
There's also
like freed out idiocracy. He's like, yeah, get him when they're shooting up his own car. Get him. Yeah.
Just throw like huge rubber dildos and shit.
There's also a push to remove LGBT protection from white gay men because they're not oppressed enough.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. That's what you keep seeing is once they get one group nailed down as you're not as good as us, they got to move on to the next one. And the whole time they ignore the fact that this sounds a little familiar because it's I don't know what fascists do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know.
You just need to calm your male privilege. You just need to calm your male privilege.
My goddamn cis white male privilege.
Yeah.
Well,
Kevin and I were talking about this on the way home from Richmond yesterday, and he's like, they want to sort people into all these different buckets. Like, how many buckets do they have to sort people in before everybody's in one fucking each bucket has one person in it, and they get down to fucking individualism? What? Like, it's gonna take them centuries to finally fucking realize every single person is different.
No.
Oh my god! Stop
no way, dude.
By the time they realize that, they'll have forgotten who was saying it the whole time, and they'll erect a Barney, and it'll be like, "You are special." And
but guys, we're all white. Don't we think mayonnaise is spicy?
No.
Good mayonnaise is.
I'm kidding.
All right,
good mayonnaise is tart. I wouldn't say that's spicy though.
No, it's like a meme going around.
I know. It's always they're always fucking making fun of white people and putting the word mayonnaise in there somewhere.
Let's move on to something. Let's move on to let's get away from all that and back on the guns.
All right.
Back on the guns. Let's do it.
Off that shit.
You guys know
no more identity politics.
You guys know who Cody Wilson is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My fucking hero.
Yeah.
Well, for the people in the crowd that don't know.
It has some background in
Okay.
Landmark legal shift opens Pandora's box for DIY guns.
No, Pandora's box had bad things in it. This is a box of good things.
I already bought a few flash drives too.
Nice.
5 years ago, 25-year-old radical libertarian Cody Wilson stood on a remote Central Texas gun range and pulled the trigger on the world's first fully 3D printed gun. When, to his relief, his plastic invention fired a .380 caliber bullet into a berm of dirt without jamming or exploding in his hands. He drove back to Austin and uploaded the blueprints of the pistol to his website, defcad.com. That is DEFCAD.com. He launched the site month earlier, along with his anarchist video manifesto, declaring that gun control would never be the same in an era when anyone can download and print their own firearm with a few clicks.
Amen.
In the days after the first test firing, his gun downloaded more than 100,000 times. Wilson made the decision to go all in on the project, dropping out of law school at the University of Texas, as if to confirm his belief that technology supersedes law. The law caught up less than a week later. Wilson received a letter from the U.S. State Department demanding he take down his printable gun blueprints or face prosecution for violating federal export controls. Under an obscure law set of U.S. regulations known as the International Trade of Arms Regulations, ITAR, Wilson was accused of exporting weapons without a license, just as if he'd been shipping a plastic gun to Mexico rather than putting a digital version of it on the internet.
Oh my God, it's a fucking... It's a blueprint. Yeah. It's not a weapon.
It's not even a blueprint. It's just CAD instructions.
Keep in mind, these are the same These are the same people who also say that if you have a piece of metal with a set of holes in it, and then you also have this little can that screws over that, then now you have the components for a suppressor immediately a felon.
Yeah. So, he took DefCAD down, but his lawyer warned him that he would still potentially face millions of dollars in fines and years in prison simply for having made the file available to oversee downloads for a few days. Quote, I thought my life was over, Wilson says. Instead, Wilson has spent the last years of an unlikely project for anarchists, not simply defying or skirting the law, but taking it to court and changing it. In doing so, he has not only defeated a legal threat to his own highly controversial gunsmithing project, he may have also unlocked a new era of digital DIY gun making that further undermines gun control across the U.S. and the world.
Hallelujah.
Eat it.
Another step toward Wilson's imagined future where anyone can make a deadly weapon at home with no government oversight. Yeah.
Oh okay,
this is the good part.
The horror.
Yeah. This is the good part right here. 2 months ago, the Department of Justice quietly offered Wilson a settlement to end his lawsuit he and a group of co-plaintiffs had pursued since 2005 against the United States government. Wilson and his team of lawyers focused their legal argument on free speech claim. They pointed out that by forbidding Wilson from posting his 3D printable data, the State Department was not only violating his right to bear arms, but his right to freely share information. By blurring the line between a gun and a digital file, Wilson had also successfully blurred the lines between the First and Second Amendments. Quote, quote, if code is speech, the constitutional contradictions are evident, Wilson explained to Wired when he first launched the lawsuit in 2015. Quote, so what if this code is a gun?
Right.
All right. Let's see. The Department of Justice's surprising settlement confirmed in court documents earlier this month essentially surrenders to that argument. It promises to change the export control rules surrounding any firearms below 50 caliber, with few exceptions like fully automatic weapons and a rare gun designs that use caseless ammunition, and move their regulations to the Commerce Department, which won't try to police technical data about guns posted on the public internet. In the meantime, it gives Wilson a unique license to publish data to those weapons anywhere he chooses.
Unique license? Like that should, I mean, it's precedent now. Anybody should be able to do that.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, should they be able to? Yes. Legally, though. Yeah.
I know.
So all of he wants to. Let's see. He wants to create a database. That's a user-generated database of practically any firearm imaginable. All of that will be available to anyone, anywhere in the world with an uncensored internet connection to download, alter, remix, and fabricate into lethal weapons with tools like 3D printers and computer-controlled milling machines. Quote, we're doing this encyclopedic work of collecting this data and putting it into the commons. What's about to happen is a Cambrian explosion of digital content related to firearms.
Well, and have you seen what they're doing for that content?
I have seen a little bit. I've checked up this. I've been on the website a few times since it came back up.
Yeah, it is a thing of beauty. They are actually manually measuring gun components, super old school, to get the most precise and accurate measurements possible.
Nice.
I'm on the website right now, and I see AR-15. I see a VZ-58.
Like with calipers, like not like they're measuring like calipers. And stuff.
They're actually
like they're taking actual existing firearms, right. and literally copying them, taking every single little measurement, turning it into a digital copy, and putting that on. They're going to put that on the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going super old school with it because what I heard him talk about in an interview is he said his concern is if they tried to use modern digital stuff that could be interfered with by outside sources.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're manually typing everything in, manually taking every measurement, manually doing all this stuff, you can't stop that from the outside.
No, you can't.
And it's fucking genius. And actually, so I came prepared for this article. So this, for anybody unfamiliar, is what that thing is, the Ghost Gunner that he has, $250 for pre-order. He has on here. This, by the way, is not
that is 80% lower. That is 80% lower. That is not a firearm. That is just a chunk of metal, according to the BATF.
Because this pocket isn't milled out. Select switch hole isn't milled out. There's nothing for the trigger to go through yet. So this right here, you can order online, have it shipped directly to your house, no FFL, nothing. With that Ghost Gunner, you pop this sucker in, you run that program, and it will mill it all out for you better than the current jigs that we have available.
Nice.
Even here in California, even here in California, I can buy those by the case completely.
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah, and it literally showed up. This is what they come in. They just show up at your house. Well, bam. Actually, this one, in the interest of just some cool shit, this one actually came from, and I don't know. Well, they were AA Industries by the time it showed up, but they were not. They're not now. But that was Aries Arms.
Aries Arms, nice.
Familiar with Aries Arms? This is one of the last Aries Arms lowers they ever made under Aries Arms. So, because they're the ones who are selling those that the ATF then raided the shit out of them, used everything and all.
What are they now? They're Firearms Unknown, right?
Yeah. I think they're Firearms Unknown now. Well, you can look. I don't know if that'll show up, but if you look at their label, AA.
Yeah, Oceanside. Yeah, that's Dimitri Karas and his crew.
Yep. This was, I think, 2 days before the name officially changed that shipped out.
Nice. So, yes, I may or may not have a little bit of experience with this. But yeah, that's it. The beauty of this, I think that the way the DOJ bent over and literally took it in the ass on this one is because it is unstoppable. It is unstoppable. Within hours of Cody's original design going up on the internet of his original Liberator pistol, within hours of that, it was downloaded 100,000 times. It is all over the internet. It is on Ben Stone's site. On Ben Stone's site, you can get the plan. It is all over the Tor network. It is all over everywhere.
And the beauty of the cloud storage is once that data is out, once he does this, even if they try to close this loophole and somehow figure out a way to close it, and I don't think they're going to, but even if they do, the data is already out in the wild.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's no way
every single there will be people that every time a plan goes live on defcad.com, that will download it and upload it onto a blockchain network.
Yep.
And Stimit also. It'll be all over the Stimit network. And Stimit is a free source user based blockchain technology.
Yeah, and once it's on blockchain, there's no fucking stopping it.
Yeah, you would literally have to destroy every single computer operating on that blockchain in order to get it off of it.
Right. it like scorched earth on half the fucking internet.
Man, I gotta say, I'm really excited to hear. I haven't heard Carl Casarda say anything about this yet. I'm really anxious to hear what he has to say because this is so up his alley. Like, I don't know if anybody else follows In-Range TV, or Forgotten Weapons, but he does a lot of work with them. He does the Hard as Hell 2 gun and like Desert Brutality and a few other shooting competitions, but he runs a bunch of hacking conventions and does a lot of stuff on like the ethics of hacking for freedom and all this other stuff. And then he also runs In-Range TV and does all this stuff with guns and everything else. So like this guy, I'm sure he's actually the one who started uploading all of In-Range TV stuff to Pornhub and made all of those headlines with doing that. That's actually him.
Nice.
So that he could decentralize where
when
his
YouTube started shutting channels down.
Right, so he wouldn't get censored because Pornhub
Yep.
wasn't going to censor him.
Yep, exactly. And that's that guy. Actually, if you're not following him, I think everybody should just not even if
I'll
you're
check
not
him
that
out.
into guns, man. Like his
In
hacking
Range
stuff is
TV.
great.
Yeah, in Range TV. Yeah. Is he on Full 30?
Yes, they are on Full 30 as well.
That's
They're
where
actually the first ones who have completely demonetized, gone strictly to Patreon funding, and completely decentralized on Full 30 and all the other ones.
Yeah, full30.com. It's like a YouTube specifically for guns.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, with no
Did not
connection
know
to
that.
YouTube at all. It's fun. It's it sucks up hours of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gun control argument is dead. Like all that stuff about the ACLU, fuck you. There's no argument here. There's no argument. I'll take my guns and my privacy. Fuck you very much.
Yep.
Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself in a second.
Well, that's the thing.
If you think I'm going to be printing fucking serial numbers onto the guns I manufactured in my own home and reporting them to you, you can get fucked.
Yeah, there's
you can get on your unicorn and ride over here and check for yourself.
Check it out.
I dare you. I'm begging you. I'm begging, please come knock on my door.
Mullen
got a big bag of dicks for them to eat too.
Yeah. I got like 30 cases of get the fuck off my property waiting.
I've seen your war room.
Now you got to get the D60s. They're expensive, but man, that 60-round capacity is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, we got that reloader.
Oh, speaking of that, California, the D60. Those are technically legal in California, or they were legal in California, but you can only have 10 rounds in them. And then the state.
I promise. Scout honor.
And then the state outlawed. State of California, they passed a bill last year, and it actually went into effect, saying that magazines that could hold more than 10 rounds were illegal in the state of California. The 9th District Court of Appeals overturned that.
Yeah.
The 9th said that was an unnecessary violation.
So for 9th Circuit to actually have done that.
Sorry, they didn't overturn it. They upheld a lower court's ruling that it was an unnecessary violation.
But I mean, just the fact that
the fact that the 9th Court did it is fucking shocking.
Yeah, even that freaking district, even they were like, no, you can't start confiscating now.
Like that is as much as I am not a political crusader and all that other BS. I can't wait for some of these California bills to get to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we don't participate. We're anarchists. We don't believe in government. That doesn't mean that politics isn't still a fucking spectator sport.
Well, that's the reality of the world we live in. If we lived in,
we might as well fucking watch what's happening.
If we lived in Anarchopia, if we lived in Anarchotopia and we had no government, it wouldn't be an issue, right? If we had the society, we were able to live the way. If we were able to live the way that we wanted to live, it wouldn't be an issue. But the reality is that we live in a statist society. We have beliefs that are outside of the statist society. But the reality is that the world we live in is a government world. It is a statist world. It is a hyper authoritarian existence.
Right.
Yep.
So we have to take some sort of
interest.
Like, we don't have to participate. We don't have to participate, but we do have to take an interest because.
But it'd be stupid not to understand it. Yeah.
And until more temporary autonomous zones and permanent autonomous zones, TAS and PAS, and more second realm infrastructure is built. Hashtag Liberty Under Attack, really the second realm series.
Yeah.
Until those sort of things exist, we have to pay attention to the law and the government in order to find ways to live around it best we can, and to make sure that we don't end up in a cage. Because if you end up in a cage, you can't do anarcho shit at all.
Nope.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
You gotta understand that shit so you can find the loopholes and how to get around it.
Right.
Yep. Like
to me, the ultimate anarchist lifestyle these days is fucking not even showing up on their radar to begin with.
Yep. Bonu.
Yeah. Just stay off their fucking radar.
Well, and that's the thing that drives me nuts about a lot of those guys that you'll encounter on Facebook and things that are, the anarchy guy, anarchy so much harder than you, bro. And those guys is one of the things that I always point out whenever I see that shit is I'll call them out and I'll be like, so what you're telling me is you don't actually do any of these things you claim at all. Because if you did, you'd never throw that publicly ever. Because
dude,
I be smart enough to know.
I do that. I do that with people that claim to be an anonymous or that they share like stuff from anonymous, and I'm just like, bro, if you were actually an anonymous, you would not be claiming to be an anonymous.
You wouldn't, right?
Yeah. Nobody who has anything to do with anonymous ever actually says,
no,
I'm a member of Anonymous,
or broadcast that. Like, you don't need to say that. You don't need to go out of your way, because that would be so counterproductive. It boggles the mind. It's like,
yeah.
All right. Speaking of, let's move on to another good one. I want to. We discussed this a little bit pre-show, but Stockton's self-proclaimed Batman takes crime into his own hands.
Jeez.
It's so good. Just a civilian superhero of sorts, and Stockton is at it again. He calls himself Stockton's Batman. He's a father of two and a local business owner. The latest citizen's arrest was caught on camera. The video shows the vigilante detaining a man he claims was smoking crystal meth outside a buy 99-cent only store. Stockton's Batman won't use his real name or show his. Stockton's Batman won't use his real name or show his face, but told CBS 13 that he's nabbed hundreds of alleged criminals at the same Stockton shopping center.
So what you're saying is you're the most obnoxious person on planet Earth.
Well, okay. Quote, they're criminals, into which point they're committing crimes in front of my eyes, he says. Stockton police said the man in the video wasn't arrested or even cited.
Nice.
How dare you do something that affects me in literally no way at all, ever.
Now, if he's actually doing it on the premises of his business only, he has every fucking right. If it's on his business premises.
His business, it's not his.
Right, but it doesn't sound like it is. It sounds like it's the entire mall, right?
Yeah. He recently started letting his wife capture cell phone video of the incidents, which are now documented on his Facebook page. The incidents range from suspected arsonist with a document of charges filed against her to suspected shoplifters at the same 99-cent store he frequents with his own small children.
Wait, so this dude. So just to make sure I'm fully wrapping my brain around this. So a costumed man is hanging out outside of a Dollar Tree
with handcuffs.
And
is he handcuffing people?
And like harassing probably homeless people.
Yes.
In front of his kids.
And then being
on video.
While his wife videotapes it.
And then going, I'm a hero. No, you're fucking insane.
Yeah. You'll
idiot.
Appreciate his heroics one day.
Hey. Without him, we wouldn't have the roads. All right? Without him, we wouldn't have the roads.
Exactly.
Well, I hope he remembers that with great power comes great responsibility.
With great power against homeless people at the Dollar Tree comes great responsibility.
Okay, I know that was a DC and Marvel mix-up of Batman and Spider-Man, but I don't fucking care. It's still a superhero reference.
Who cares? They're all going to be owned by Disney by the end of the month.
Right? Seriously.
the impotent Punisher is essentially what he is.
So yeah, there's this dude.
You're a guilty punk, but I'm going to call the cops about it.
He's the Punisher, but like without the guns and the killing and all the badassery.
Yeah.
He's just really just the guy skulking around a Dollar Tree. Give me here. No.
Fucking Dollar Tree man and shit. But
superhero.
Fucking
did he get his costume at
the Dollar Tree?
That's what I
It's possible. It's very possible.
It's like the sunglasses thing with the Batman mask on it.
The Groucho Marx glasses and a little fucking kid.
He's got a paper cape and
yeah, I was thinking like a paper plate cut out and like a fucking Batman mask with like colored in fucking like a permanent marker, like a
and like one of those foam sun visors, you know, the ones you throw away after all day.
Yeah.
And his weapon's like a fucking like a pool noodle.
For truth, justice, and a slightly less obnoxious suburbia.
Pool noodle and party poppers. He
Yep.
like startles them with the party popper.
I will imitate
And stale ramen. He throws stale ramen at people.
Silly
Yeah,
string.
Ninja Turtles.
Silly string.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
The stale ramen is Ninja Stars.
Cans of SpaghettiOs with meatballs.
God, what is his name? There's actually a superhero here in lacrosse.
What the fuck is going on, dude?
Hey, you know what? We're home to the world's largest six-pack. That's all I'm going to say.
They're talking about beer, not muscles, by
Proton.
the way, just in case.
Right?
Anybody.
I'm looking at
I think he's like Proton or something, but he's like this dude who like...
Did he seriously name himself that?
I think he's Proton. What's his...
Proton.
Hold on. I gotta look at what this.
It's like the lamest fucking like.
There we go.
Superhero
Electron.
name.
Okay, Electron particle. I apologize. He's a little more negative than I thought. So here's him. This is our local superhero.
He should have called himself Neutron because he looks like a fucking zero to me.
Oh my goodness.
Bunch of women.
Yeah, he actually has, and that's actually why I bring him up is because this guy actually literally, and no one knows who he is. But he actually goes and he hangs out because we have more bars per capita in lacrosse than any other city in the world.
Yeah, we know.
And we have so many bars concentrated in one place in town that lots of things happen. You get that many college students, that many people together with a lot of
get them all liquored up, all within like 2 city blocks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so he actually hangs out down there, and he's actually stopped like at least half a dozen rapes.
Wow.
He's protected people from assaults,
nice.
muggings, all sorts. He's actually done like a lot. I actually suspect he's one of the guys that runs one of the martial arts studios here in town.
Well, I feel bad about my comment now. Damn it.
But yeah, he's actually helping people, right? Like, he's
helping. That's cool though.
Like he's actually a positive force, right? He's
a negative.
He's a peace officer.
Electron, but
he's an
peace officer of the people.
Contribution. He's an actual contribution.
Yeah, he's like actually helping. He's making the world a better place, and he's doing completely voluntarily, totally for free.
Yep.
Yeah,
he doesn't ask anything from anyone. He just does it because he was sick and tired of having to worry about those things happening.
Yeah.
Right. And people want to know, but what about?
That's admirable.
What about my police services, and what about the safety of the public without?
Well, the
government?
cops always fucking.
People can voluntarily step up to the fucking plate. And make the streets a safer place.
How often are the cops on the fucking scene to stop crimes?
Exactly.
Oh, police have no obligation to protect people.
Well, that's not only that, but you know what I mean. It's like that guy's obviously been on the scene and stopped shit, unlike cops.
Because he knows where shit's happening. Because he has 2 fucking brain cells to rub together, and he knows where the shit is most likely to happen. and he just hangs out in like.
Well, I mean, yeah,
fucking,
when you get
like riot gear,
and not only
whatever
that, but
he's
like
wearing
think
in
about
that
this,
picture.
like like he doesn't have a fucking flak jacket on. He's not armed. Like that takes a lot more balls than a fucking cop who's like armed.
Right.
Fucking,
yeah.
Well,
it's
like, but they're scared.
It just has like hand-to-hand training. Is that what he's using?
Yeah,
something obviously.
He's definitely doing something. He, what he has revealed about himself is part of the reason he does it is he said he was an extreme juvenile delinquent. He said, I never actually got caught, but I did a bunch of drugs. I stole a bunch of stuff. I did a lot of pretty terrible things. And I feel like I have to redeem that. The harm that I did, I have to undo. And so that's what he's doing. He also
balance the scales. Right.
Yeah, and he also like has stopped. He goes out of his way to stop people from driving drunk. So he'll actually like be like, no, give me your keys. I'll give them to this bartender. Just walk home, man. Just go home. Don't drive.
Or we'll call you a cab.
Yeah, and he does that stuff. He does. He goes through. We have a lot of parking ramps down there, and so he'll walk through all the parking ramps, make sure nobody's breaking into cars and shit. Yeah, and he does this all free just because he freaking cares. Like, yeah, like that's but who would protect us without the police? I don't know. Probably superheroes, apparently.
Yeah, Electron, motherfucker.
But definitely not the hero of the
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree.
Definitely not the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree Avenger.
Yep. Speaking of not superheroes, police kill man with bulldozer over 10 marijuana plants.
Yeah.
That one pisses me off so fucking bad.
that article. I had a hard time reading it. It made me angry.
Pennsylvania State Police killed a man with a bulldozer over 10 plant marijuana grow operation on state lands in Berks County.
10 plants? That's like fucking personal use.
Yeah. The man's death was likely an accident, but it highlights how recklessly and foolishly police have perpetrated the drug war even as Americans want to pull back.
Yeah.
On July 9th...
anymore. Anybody?
Yeah. On July 9th, a state worker with a bulldozer was clearing out some brush to improve hunters' access to state lands. He saw a suspicious car off the road and called the cops. When law enforcement came out to investigate, they found those 10 marijuana plants. They also found two men, David B. Light, 54, and Gregory Longnecker, 51. Light surrendered to police. Immediately, Longnecker ran. The police called in a helicopter to follow Longnecker, but they lost him in the dense brush on the state lands. A trooper jumped onto the bulldozer and used it with the state worker to try to chase the grower. What happened?
Yeah, instead of just letting the dude go, they had his friend, so they were gonna find out his fucking name. Instead of just letting him go and getting him some other time, they used a fucking bulldozer to try to find him in the deep brush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What happened next is a little vague, thanks to police spokespeople's proposition or propagandally, I can't even pronounce that word, to describe events in ways that leave out any sort of clear cause-effect relation. But according to state police spokesman David Boehm, the bulldozer was clearing a path through the underbrush when the state trooper on the bulldozer told the worker to stop. They then looked behind the bulldozer and saw Longnecker's body. The subsequent autopsy determined that Longnecker died of, quote, traumatic injuries. At the time of Longnecker's death, Boehm had tried to float the possibility that maybe the man died of a heart attack prior to being run over by a bulldozer. Presumably, the terror of having a bulldozer bearing down on him about to run him over caused Longnecker to have a heart attack and die right before the bulldozer actually ran him over.
What? Does that matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Either way, you fucking caused it.
Like, right? You were like if... Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, if you didn't have a heart attack, you weren't going to run him over.
Yeah.
Right.
Boehm also told the Eagle that the police do not think Longnecker's death was the result of a, quote, police pursuit. He insisted that they tried to, quote, locate him by commandeering a bulldozer and send it racing into the brush while a helicopter hovered overhead.
Well, I don't know about racing. I've never seen a bulldozer do anything.
I know. I was just thinking, like, what were you hoping to achieve? Like, hey, slow down.
Yeah. Yeah. But they can move like faster than a person can walk. You'd have to hustle to stay ahead of one.
You'd have to briskly jog, but I don't know about much else beyond that. But if you're hiding, you're not going to play that.
Recreational use of marijuana in Pennsylvania is still a crime, though. Philadelphia and Pittsburgh have decriminalized the possession of small amounts. The state legalized medical marijuana in 2016 to treat a limited set of conditions. Light, the guy that surrendered, has been charged with felony counts of drug possession with intent to deliver and conspiracy to possess drugs with intent to deliver, as well as drug possession, possession of a small amount of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and criminal trespass. He's released on a $25,000 bail. Jeff Reedy of Normal tells the Associated Press that the 10 marijuana plants probably have the street value less than $5,000. It theorizes that they are probably only for personal consumption.
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that is your war on drugs, America. Congratulations.
And the crazy thing is, I'm planning on moving to Pennsylvania.
Why?
Why?
I hope it's Pittsburgh or Philadelphia.
No, it's actually close to New York. I'm gonna be moving in with my girl.
Oh, I see.
That's right. At least you'll be out of New York to stand.
Yeah. I need to get out of the area. I've been here for fucking way too long. And it really doesn't matter to me because I kind of like need to cut back on smoking weed anyway. So.
I'm not sure I see that happening.
Does not compute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I barely smoke. I mean, for real. I maybe once every couple of weeks, just when I really feel like my muscles are too tight lately and I need to relax them. And
yeah, I mean, you can get it down there.
You've been relaxing all summer.
You got to be careful.
It's black market here. Yeah. But I smoke so rarely that it's not like I'm a fucking pothead. And that's why I want everybody to be able to do this. It's a fucking matter of principle. It's a matter of freedom. Exactly. Even if I only smoke once every 3 weeks, who fucking cares? I still don't want to risk fucking being in trouble with the bludgies over it.
I'm giving up alcohol. I'm giving up alcohol. I'm giving up soda. I'm giving up fast food. I'm not giving up smoking. Sorry.
I'm all for recreational cocaine. Don't get me wrong.
It gets out of your system really fast too.
Does a lot of things really fast. You do a lot of things really fast.
I'm all for all sorts of illegal drugs to be sold in freaking soda machines. Like
as long as you're not hurting anybody else. I mean, as long as you are not actively hurting anyone or neglecting responsibilities like children, I don't give a fuck if you do drugs. It's your fucking choice.
Yeah, that's the sleight of hand though that they do is you sit there and you say, well, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
And then they say, oh, it hurts society. There's a greater cost to society.
Well, yeah, or they'll say, but what if you get in a car? But what if you operate heavy? What if you... Okay, and if I do that and then I hurt somebody, punish me for hurting somebody.
Punish me for hurting somebody.
Yeah, but if I haven't yet, it's no one's goddamn business.
This isn't Minority Report. You can't prosecute me for something that might happen.
Do you know how many times
Jesus fucking Christ?
And this is the bizarre thing. This is just really, and it ties all of this together right now, is I argue endlessly with lefties about gun rights and saying that, well, you can't punish somebody
for something they didn't do.
So
exactly. Collective punishment,
you think they might do something with a gun. You can't, because they're like, well, what if they're mentally unstable? Well, first of all, who's to say? And second of all,
you're a liberal. I think you're mentally unstable.
Yeah,
it usually comes with the territory.
You're probably a little off, but
yeah.
I mean, like you can't say, I'll argue with them. You can't say, well, I don't get to have a gun because of what this other guy did. That isn't how responsibility works.
Right.
And then I have to argue within the same thread sometimes with these righties that you can't tell somebody that they can't have drugs because of what this other person did while they were on drugs. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not understanding that moral responsibility does not depend on like what your political affiliation is?
And yet, when you say
correlation doesn't equal causation.
When you say that you're an anarchist, both of them, they will team up and fucking hate you and hate you and hate you together.
Oh,
and they will fucking tear you apart
Yeah.
together. It's the one thing that will unify them is coming up against someone who thinks they're both wrong and doesn't believe in government at all.
Oh yeah, all the time. But
let's put this out there for any statists who may be watching.
I hope so.
Anarchism, voluntarism, whatever word you want to put on our philosophy, it is the only logically and ethically consistent position. The only one. It is the only one where if you apply it to every aspect in the exact same way, every time you will always end up with the same result, free people behaving involuntary interactions with each other and nobody getting hurt.
I'll even take that a step farther and say, I don't even want to get rid of government. I don't want to get rid of their statist religions. They can have their statist religion. They can have their government. They can have taxes and roads.
But they need to leave people alone who don't want to be part of it.
Just don't force it on other people. I do not want to pay for your bombs. I do not want to pay for your police. I do not want to pay for your bullshit social welfare programs such as Social Security.
Right.
I don't want to be a part of it.
And I won't ask for any of it.
And I don't want it in return.
And you got to let people open up businesses that compete with your precious government services.
Yep.
Once you've done that and people have free choice, I don't give a fuck. As long as
they'll never allow that because that's a fucking huge threat because it would fucking make it obsolete.
Well, yeah, government exists because there is a market demand for government, right? And
there's a market demand because people don't realize that there's other ways to do things.
That's what I was getting to.
They've never allowed it.
Yeah,
that's what I was getting to. The government exists because there's a market demand for it. If we were allowed to build competing services, if we were allowed to build the physical second realm, the digital second realm,
the stateless society,
the voluntary, the voluntary companies, the voluntary associations, voluntary organizations, to compete with government services. Once people were able to see the effectiveness of the voluntary governments of the second realms, the PAS and the TAS and all this other stuff, then the government would lose support, and eventually it would get to the point where the market demand for these secondary services would be greater than the market demand for the government services.
Well, think about this, right?
That's when the government really starts going downhill.
If they wanted a governing structure, right, and they based it on open source technology and blockchain, right, like so that it's fucking, there's complete transparency and everything. You know what I mean? And people could voluntarily opt into that. It would be far more efficient and fucking, you know what I mean? It would be like government would go away overnight because it wouldn't even be able to compete with that.
All right, we got a comment. The son of a man. That's okay. Interesting name. Poor people who get addicted to drugs tend to commit crimes in order to get the funds to buy the drugs. Recreational is cool when you have the money, but a broke drug user is a whole different thing. No,
they're not.
It's not a whole different thing.
If they steal, punish them for being a thief.
Yes. Until there is a victim, whatever happened before it doesn't matter. The drugs don't make people steal. People choose to steal. There are hundreds of everyday people every day using heroin and cocaine and all sorts of methamphetamines. And they don't steal. They are still functioning members of society.
Yeah.
Right? They still have 9 to 5s. They still wear ties. They still commute to work.
Mm-hmm.
You really want your eyes opened up about that. Watch the Vice stuff on the inside world of drugs,
Absolutely.
where you see the guys that are running cocaine and freaking acid microdoses and stuff to Silicon Valley, to all of the executives and all of these huge office buildings, and guys that run $1-million companies are totally doing the same drugs as these broke people. And guess what? That doesn't make either one of them morally a criminal.
Right. Now, I have known people who have stolen ostensibly to support drug habits, but what people who knew them as druggies and didn't know them prior to that don't know is those motherfuckers were stealing from people before they ever got hooked on drugs. I know these fucking people. They had no respect for private property, personal property, even before they ended up with a drug problem. So it had nothing to do with the drug problem. That was just one more excuse for them.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. Is like I just watched a thing on Netflix. I don't remember what it was called. Was it called Drugland? I don't remember what it was called. But, this really cool documentary that Netflix did, and they interview these two horrible junkies. They're like squatting in a condemned house, and they're talking about the fact that they have no money. They both lost their jobs, everything else. But the one guy is like, oh, well, I have $10 because I was able to go do some work for somebody and I made $10, so I'm going to be able to score today. And then his girlfriend's like, well, I can't score based off of doing work because no one will hire me, but I do have one thing I can sell. And then it shows her going upstairs with a guy. But I mean, and that sucks. Don't get me wrong, that sucks. But one, you did that to yourself. And two, it's also...
You're not free from the consequences of your actions.
Right. You're not free from the consequences of your actions, but keep in mind, neither one of those people victimized anyone.
Nope.
They're broke. They're broke. They're desperate drug addicts. Nope. Neither one of them victimized anyone. Their thought was immediately, how do I earn money to go do it?
Right.
And to piggyback on that, how does attaching a criminal charge to what they do
make their life
in any way help them or help society?
It just further isolates them and exacerbates their addiction problem.
Well, not only that, but we as society are being punished through taxation and through having to pay for these people to sit in a prison cell.
Right. And we pay the lawyers to prosecute them and the judges to sentence them. And I mean, Jesus Christ, just to fucking... It probably cost taxpayers $100,000 in salaries and resources. To sentence.
It costs the taxpayers $74,000 a year to house somebody in prison at the federal level.
Right. Well, I just meant like the prosecution process, the cops, the lawyers, the prosecutor and the public defender and the judge and the time,
the courthouse,
the bailiffs, the courthouse, all that shit. How much does it cost the taxpayers to prosecute one person for owning like a fucking gram of heroin? Really, like personal use amounts or whatever they're doing. Seriously, you're gonna fucking.
And this isn't condoning use either. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean?
But it's every person's right to make that choice for themselves.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. But that's how people are going to take it. They're going to be like, "Oh, well, you guys are fucking sitting there, saying it's okay for people to do drugs."
No. What we're saying is until you cross the line between your bubble of personal agency and somebody else's,
until you actually negatively affect another individual.
Right. It is entirely your fucking business.
Yes.
Entirely, until you step over that line into someone else's business.
All right, we only got about 10 or 15 minutes left, and I want to get to this last one because New York finally gets around to maybe holding police officers responsible for Eric Garner's killing.
Yeah. 4 years?
4 years later, they might actually fire somebody. Yes. 4 years ago.
Well, like I said earlier,
these are the guys.
I was just going to say, don't hold your breath.
Yeah. And keep in mind while you're listening to this article, these are the guys who claim the authority to act as judge, jury, and executioner on the spot, on the street, for any of us regular fucking citizens.
And this is this. Okay, who's from? Okay. 4 years ago this week, police officers in New York choked Eric Garner to death after he passively refused to cooperate while they arrested him for selling black market loose cigarettes. Garner's unnecessary and avoidable death inspired outrage, but so far there have been few consequences for the cops involved. The Department of Justice has been investigating whether police violated Garner's civil rights. Because of the federal investigation, the city refrained from moving forward with its own disciplinary proceedings against the officers involved. But yesterday, after the Department of Justice said it didn't object to the city moving on the issue, the New York Police Department announced that Officer David Pantaleo, responsible for the deadly chokehold, and Sergeant Kizzy Adonis, his supervisor, will face administrative trial next year.
Administrative. That's not even criminal. They fucking killed somebody.
So essentially, this boils down to, so they choke a man to death over unpaid taxes, because the bottom line is that's what it is.
On video.
Under the accusation. Like, he wasn't guilty of selling.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Innocent until proven guilty.
Suspected.
Alleged unpaid taxes. They choke him to death on video on the street, and then 4 years later they say, well, in a year we're going to go ahead and have to review this.
Right.
It gets better. It gets better.
Administratively, not criminal review. Administrative review.
NYPD critics and Garner's family are upset that the city waited years to do anything. What the Justice Department decides to do should have no bearing on whether the NYPD continues to employ these officers. If the Justice Department charges them, then it charges them. This has nothing to do with whether they should keep their jobs.
Well, they shouldn't keep their jobs, but like whether, like the decision on whether they should keep their jobs or not shouldn't come before. Like, they shouldn't be waiting on like a criminal decision to find out if they're keeping their jobs or not. Like, that shouldn't be a prerequisite. Is that what they're saying?
A grand jury previously declined to indict Pantaleo for Garner's death. The administrative trial is about whether he'll keep his job, not whether he'll go to jail.
Yeah,
there's no way these guys are seeing the inside of a jail cell. I think everybody knew that the moment they heard NYPD, they knew for sure that was not going to happen.
We investigated ourselves and found that we did nothing wrong.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, how many cases have there been, like, I don't know, within maybe the last 4 or 5 years, where cops have killed people and haven't?
Kelly Thomas.
Yeah,
Kelly. Yeah,
Kelly Thomas. Kelly Thomas was 7 years. It was 7 years ago. Last, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Right, 7 years ago, 3 weeks ago. And
Ruby Ridge. Did any of them get in trouble for Ruby Ridge?
No, the fucking marshals got awards.
Yeah.
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 Come on, like the gang ever fucking, like, you know, I mean, they protect their own, and then the ones that try to expose their fucking corruption either get killed or fired.
Right.
Or how about John Crawford III, the guy in Walmart with the BB gun?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, no cops were ever charged in that. Neither was the guy that lied when he called the police. Like, he never saw the inside of a jail either.
Yeah.
They don't give a
well, I mean, take a guy like fucking Frank Serpico for example, like fucking Serpico. try and fucking expose corruption within the fucking the fraternal order of police. And you pay the fucking price for it. You don't go against your own gang. It's like the mafia. Like, if you go against the fucking your own family, you're gonna get fucking whacked.
It is the fucking mob. I mean, that's what it is.
It's organized crime. It's absolutely organized crime. It is the slickest organized crime con ever in the history of humankind.
Well, there you go. It goes right back to fucking Orwellian doublespeak, where it's like it's what it says that it's not. You know, like Antifa saying that they're anti-fascist, but they're fascist.
They're so fascist.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I found a beautiful T-shirt for that, by the way. That is it ODA Apparel. ODA Apparel makes. It's a Special Forces T-shirt company, but they make it an Antifa one that's an anti-Antifa one, and it says something about free helicopter rides. It's freaking great.
Nice. Somebody posted something. It was like the Rotary Club, and it was like a fucking picture of like a helicopter inside the fucking Rotary gear.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
With like a body dropping out of it. I was like, that is fucking amazing.
That's great. Because I used to go to Rotary Club, the real Rotary Club.
No, that's the thing though, is these guys are organized crime just the same as the mob is. The difference is they just have way better propaganda, and they get 12 years to convince you that they're the good guys.
Yeah, and not only that, but they're protected by the fucking the law structure. You know, unlike the mob had to like go around the law or pay them off.
Right.
These guys are the fucking law.
This wasn't one of the articles I wanted to bring up, but since we're on the subject, it just kind of came to mind. The police chief wanted perfect stats, so cops were told to pin crimes on black people.
I saw that. That made me so fucking angry.
Yeah, that is absolutely infuriating.
This is out of Biscayne Park, Florida.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, a former police chief of Biscayne Park and 2 officers charged with falsely pinning 4 burglaries on a teenager just to impress village leaders with a perfect crime-solving record.
Jesus.
But the accusations revealed in federal court last month left far uglier details of past police practices in tranquil Biscayne Park, a leafy wedge of suburbia just north of Miami Shores. Records obtained by the Miami Herald suggest that during the tenure of former chief Raimundo Assassino, the command staff pressured some officers into targeting random black people to clear cases.
This is like, it's like My Cousin Vinny.
Yep.
You know how they're trying to pin it on the Italian teenagers.
Or on I can't remember. There's an episode of CSI where that was totally the thing, where the guy was like, where he called up the Grissom and was like, hey, you know, I need you to like save me here, and I lied about whether or not the hammer was fine because I look like somebody who would have done this crime, and that's why they came after me. So what was my point in arguing?
Right.
Yep.
I mean, and that is the reality. That is the reality of the culture, and whether, like, no matter how much I'm going to sit here and say white people don't have privilege, because I really don't think we do, and it's not a white versus black, it is a blue versus you issue. But the bottom line is that you can't get around the fact that our society, especially in the nice, predominantly white neighborhoods, is totally willing to just go, well, he's a black guy, so he probably did it.
Right. Well, the cops certainly are. That's always the first suspect, you know?
Well, like, I don't know. This seems to point out, not to change the subject, but it's on the subject.
That is the police chief that was in the article. He's not white.
So remember Broward County? That's not far from where that is.
Broward County?
Yeah. Now they were fixing the stats too, so that they could get federal grants, and not arresting certain people. So it's like, it seems to be that they're manipulating the stats, and they're doing all kinds of things with the incentive of fucking receiving money from the government for it.
Yeah, well, that's what it's
so
about.
That's another issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if those incentives weren't there, then they wouldn't be, motivated to do such.
Yeah, I know. They have nothing but incentive to fucking victimize people.
Well,
to be honest, to be quite honest.
Not only that, but like, you got like fucking civil asset forfeiture and fucking all kinds of shit.
Civil asset forfeiture. Like... the DEA in 2015, the DEA alone confiscated more money and goods through civil asset forfeiture than all the burglaries in the United States combined.
Yeah, dude, it's just straight up fucking piracy.
property from people than
Yep.
fucking
all,
bad
all
guys.
guilty, all
Bad
guilty
guys.
until proven innocent.
Yep. Because
Yeah,
the
the
case
whole
is
thing
against
is
the
that-
property, not the person.
Exactly. I was just gonna say that, and it's
Yeah.
harder to fight that in court if it's
Yeah.
fucking, you know.
If you have any money left to fight it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of it. Is like they figure, oh
Yeah.
well, you know, they're not gonna fucking fight this because it's gonna cost them money, and what the fuck is the point in the long run, you know?
Yeah. It's gonna cost
Gotta
you. It's
get
gonna
that
cost you.
stripper money.
You know, yeah, like this. Yeah,
Fucking
exactly.
bullshit.
This is what we talked about last time. I mean, it's gonna cost you $10,000 to fight it. But is it? Did they confiscate 8,000 from you? I mean, spending 10,000
exactly.
to get 8,000 isn't sound financial. So.
Yep, and that's how they get you.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers
Stupid.
know it too.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the reason why that doesn't get fought against harder, the civil asset forfeiture, is because a lot of people, especially on the conservative right, do not realize that they don't have to prove anything in court before they take it.
Right.
Yeah, like for example, like this kid was like living at his parents' house or whatever and selling heroin, got busted, and they seized the fucking parents' home and their vehicles and shit because of the fact that like they said that because it was on the parents' property, they implicated them in the crime.
Because the property may have been used during the commission of a crime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
It is.
I would rather 1,000 mass murderers get to keep all of the stuff they stole from people than risk a single person who didn't commit a crime, who didn't ever hurt anyone, just
having their
getting
shit taken away,
stolen from them.
Yeah,
right,
exactly, absolutely. I would rather innocent, or I'd rather guilty people go free than innocent people found guilty.
Yep.
You know,
or treated as if they were guilty.
We're all treated as guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
Well, yeah, surveillance state. I mean,
well, not only surveillance state, but you have militarized police. You have them being taught to lie to people. The fact that you're arrested before you ever go to court.
Yeah.
You have to. They get you arrested. They book you. They charge you. They throw you in a cage, and then you have to have bail in order to get out.
Right.
Before your court case.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's all. It's all guilt. It's all guilt until you prove your innocence. If you have the money to prove your innocence.
Exactly.
Because a public defender's not going to do jack shit.
Oh no.
They're either newbies or burnouts. They don't care.
Yeah.
And either way, their paycheck's not coming from you. Their paycheck is coming from the state. So who do they work for? Do they work for you or do they work for the state?
Right.
Yeah.
Every person in that courtroom works for the state.
Yep.
The prosecutor, the defendant, the judge, the bailiff. They all work for the state, and
it's stacked against you.
No, and other on stupid bullshit charges like you'll see the state of California versus right or the state of New York versus. How the hell did I hurt the state by smoking a plant?
Right.
Or how did I hurt the state by walking home drunk?
Speaking of walking home drunk, whatever happened with him? Did he lose his job?
No, he did not lose his job, but he is on a what the chief say something about a tight leash.
Oh, that's good.
So that's any fuck ups and he's done. And then once he's out of the academy, he's on a 40-hour suspension. So.
Huh. That's better than losing his job, though.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. We're out of time. You guys got anything else?
Well, there's one thing I wanted to say in honor of Dan's bandana. I wanted to say that there's one thing about living in Santa Carla that I never could stomach. All the goddamn vampires. You got that horn on your car? Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
You got that shit?
Just like Grandpa, dude.
Just like Grandpa.
I was waiting for. I
gotta go pick up Corey Feldman in a minute.
Gosh, man, I'm lost.
Goonies never.
He's lost, boy.
Hey, all I'm saying is goodies never say die. That's yeah. All right. This has been episode 38. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Do the truffle shuffle.